A simple and ingeniously clever high-relief cables method developed by Assia Brill allows us to make any cable more textured and more beautiful, just like this simple cable over here. The trick is in adding the ghost stitches. It happens in the first row of making the cable. It could be the first row after a border or the first row of the project, as is the case over here. So work to the stitches that are gonna form the cable. That will be 4 stitches right here at the center of my swatch. And then make a reverse yarn over. So bring the yarn to the back of the work and then over the right needle. And then work the stitches of the first group of the cable. So in my case, it's gonna be 2 stitches and I simply knit them because I'll have 2 by 2 cables. So I stop after I worked the first group and then make another reverse yarn over like this one. Then work the next group and make another reverse yarn over. And keep doing that until you finish all groups that are gonna form the cable in your project. So in my case, I will stop here because I only have 2 groups of stitches. And then finish the row in whatever pattern you're going to make it. In the next row, we're gonna work to the first yarn over, and then we're gonna knit it as usual through the front loop. So here's my yarn over. I knit it through the front loop, twisting it as I do it, and that makes sure we don't get any additional holes over here because we don't need any holes in our projects, right? And then work the first group of stitches. I'm gonna purl them because usually cables are made of knit stitches on the right side of the work. And when you get to the next reverse yarn over, then this is the yarn over that stays between 2 groups of stitches, right? And this yarn over we're gonna knit twice, through the front loop and through the back loop, making 2 stitches out of this yarn over. So we knit it once, as usual, through the front loop. But we don't slip it off the left needle yet, and we go into that yarn over again. This time we do it from right to left and knit it again through the back loop. See, as a result, we've got 2 ghost stitches right here. And then we work the stitches of the next group that's gonna form the cable. The last yarn over in my swatch, I'm gonna knit it through the front loop as usual, and then finish the row. And then we work in the cable pattern, working the stitches as they appear. So we're gonna purl the ghost stitches on the right side of the work and we're gonna knit them in every wrong side row. So when I get to the stitch that we've just created, in just a moment, and no matter, like my background is done in reverse stockinette stitch, but it could be any stitch pattern you like. But when I get to the ghost stitch, I'm gonna purl it no matter what the stitch pattern is over here. And then I knit the stitches of the first group of the cable, and then I get to those 2 stitches that we've just created from 1 yarn over. I purl them as well, and then knit the second group and purl the last ghost stitch, and then just finish the row and keep working in this established pattern until it is time to cross the cable. In the crossing row, remember that the ghost stitches belong to the stitches of the cable, so we're gonna stop when we get to the first ghost stitch right over here at the right side of the cable, and as we normally cross in the right side row, so this stitch is going to be a purl. And then we slip the ghost stitch and the first group of stitches that form the cable, those 2 knits in my swatch, and the next ghost stitch, we slip them all to a cable needle. So instead of slipping just 2 stitches as I would do if it was not a super cable but a regular cable, I slip 4 stitches. And because I'm gonna cross them to the left, I keep those stitches at the front of the work. And then work the next group of ghost stitch 2 stitches of the cable and the last ghost stitch. And we work them in the established pattern. So we purl the ghost stitches and knit the stitches that gonna form the cable. And then we work the stitches from the cable needle. You can do it directly from the cable needle, but I usually slip them back on the needle. I find that it keeps better tension. And then work these stitches again in the established pattern. So we purl the ghost stitch and then knit the stitches of the cable and purl the last ghost stitch. And then continue in whatever pattern your project is made of. Work in the established pattern on and on and on until it is time to finish the cable. And you can cross the cable as many times as you need, but when it is time to finish the cable pattern, we'll need to do one more thing. We'll need to get rid of those ghost stitches. The process of removing the ghost stitches happens in a right side row. So it could be the last right side row of the cable pattern, it could be the last right side row of the project, and you can also combine this process of getting rid of the ghost stitches with binding off stitches one by one as soon as you get rid of that ghost stitch. So it's totally up to you. And to get rid of those stitches, we need to get to the first of them. So we work until we get to the first ghost stitch. By the way, I call them ghost stitches only because we don't see them actually, but they do a terrific job of making our cables look much better. And also because we get rid of them in the end, so it's as if they never existed, but I don't mean that they're scary or anything. So those ghost stitches are big helpers in this method. So we get to the first ghost stitch and we knit 2 stitches together. So we knit the stitch together with the first stitch of the cable, just like this, just knit it together, nothing complicated. And then we work until we get to the last stitch of this group of stitches that form the cable. So in my case, I'm not gonna work any more stitches because my cable is made up only of 2 stitches. So this would be, I would proceed to the next decrease right away. But if your cable is wider, then work as many stitches as you need to get to the last stitch of this group of stitches that form the cable, to your last knit, basically, over here in this group of stitches. And then we make either a classic slip-slip knit decrease or an alternative, a simplified slip-slip knit decrease, which would be just slipping 1 stitch, then returning it back, and then knitting it together with the next stitch like this. It's much easier and faster. And then we repeat these steps. So next ghost stitch over here on this side of the cable, we knit it together with the first stitch of the cable. And then we work, if we have any more stitches in between, we work up to the last stitch of the cable and make an SSK. And that's it. Now we are back to the number of stitches that we started with. 12 stitches in my swatch, and they're right over here. No ghost stitches remaining, but only a lovely luscious cable. Even though it is so small, you can tell that it's kind of popping up and staying like embossed on the surface of the project. But if the cable is bigger, then it looks even more beautiful. Just look at this texture. A huge improvement compared to the regular cable, right? See, this one is more plain and flat, while this one is completely gorgeous. And these cables also look good on the wrong side of the work, unlike the regular cables. See the difference? Plus, that's not all. These cables also don't have those ugly elongated stitches at the sides of the cross, like the normal cables do. See those stitches? It's really hard to deal with them. But these cables don't have any of that because the ghost stitches took care of this imperfection as well. Happy knitting, my friend. I'll talk to you in the next tutorial.